Welcome to the Fearless Female Entrepreneur Podcast, where you learn how to set aside your fears and limiting beliefs and step into the entrepreneur you are meant to be. Hi there, I'm your host, Katerina, mindset and confidence coach for female entrepreneurs and your personal cheerleader to success. I teach female entrepreneurs just like you how to identify and overcome your limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome mindset, step into and ignite your confidence, and unapologetically show up in your business as the fearless entrepreneur you are born to be. Each week, I share the wisdom, tips, insights, and motivation you need to overcome doubts and obstacles holding you back from success. You will walk away feeling empowered and ready to take bold action towards your goals and dreams. So, if you're ready to build the life and business you dream of, let's jump in. Hi, y'all. Welcome to the Fearless Female Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm so excited that you're joining us today, and I'm super excited to introduce you to Jillian O'Keefe. She is an Instagram strategist for female online influencers, helping them increase their Instagram engagement in an authentic way. No sleazy and spammy tactics. She works with her clients to create a following that is in love with their brand. And I have to say, from taking your mini course and following you, I love how you approach growing your business on Instagram in this just authentic, get to know people, engaging type way. Before I ever met you, it was the old tactics of cold DMing people and all the salesy fear tactics and stuff. So I am so excited that we got connected along the way. And so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And I it's funny that you say those sleazy tactics and that I'm thrilled that you found me, and I'm thrilled that we've connected too, because those tactics are still going around Instagram. So many people still use them. There are people who teach that, and it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good in the moment to reach out to a prospect cold, DM, email too, but DM on Instagram and just say, "Hey, you want to join XYZ or do you want to buy XYZ?" It doesn't feel good, and on either side. So I like to work with people to help them kind of change that, stop doing that and teach them the way to do it and actually get results that work for them, work for the other person, and um, feel good, that you actually want to go in and talk to these people.
Yeah, I've noticed an uptick in the amount of sleazy DMs I get, and it's funny because what I'm noticing is this pattern of I'm guessing they're learning from the same people because it's always like, "Oh, you're a coach too. How long have you been a coach?" And I'll get them every day, and I laugh at those because in your mind you think, "Oh, that's probably genuine," but as you start to get more and more people getting into your DMs saying it, you're like, "Wait a minute, is that?"
Yep.
It's like an old-fashioned pickup line from a guy.
Yeah, it really is. That's such a good analogy, because they do all have the same format, and if they don't immediately go right into the cold pitch, you kind of know that if it's just a connection email or a DM and they're good, you can kind of feel that they're gonna start going into the pitch as soon as you respond. It's the format, and I mean, I'm sure it works in some instances, but overall, it doesn't, and there are easier ways to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about you. I think you just celebrated, was it 6 years in business?
Yeah, I was at 6. I think it might be 7 years in business, 6 years, outside of my 9 to 5. Um, Last week, I left my job in 2015. Um, but yeah, so I started as a VA back in 2014 and kind of grew a little bit by little bit, and then realized along the way that VA stuff, while I was good at it, was not what I loved to do, and that social media was where my heart was. I actually have a post that shows up in my time hop every year from probably 10 years ago that said, "I wish there was a job where I could just pin things and get paid for it." And it was hilarious at the time because I was doing Pinterest. I no longer do, but I was doing Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, um, and here I was doing the stuff that I, had wanted to do and getting paid for it. But then as I even got into got into social media more, I realized that there were parts of it that I wasn't, it was kind of boring to me and I was looking to, grow my business. So I zeroed in to Facebook ads and Instagram and then added in a little bit of writing because I like to write. But the writing didn't last long. And I ended up, because I like to write, but I like to write for myself and not other people. Um, and once I realized that, I'm like, I don't really love Facebook ads either. It's a lot of stress. You're playing with real money. Um, and it's just if it bombs, you're fully responsible for that. And I'm just like, I can't handle it. So, and I've always had a love for Instagram since its very creation. So I zeroed in on just Instagram, and I've been doing that for about 2 years now. Um, and I still love it like I did before. I'm not there's it's one of those things that I just can't seem to get sick of, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Instagram, I at first resisted it because it was so for most of us. We started on Facebook when
Yep.
Facebook first started, and there was a comfort level, and Instagram was like, take pictures. I'm like, I don't even leave my house half the time. How am I going to take fancy pictures? And it's become something so different, but it's kind of like you get gravitated because it is still picture oriented. It is still
Yeah.
graphic oriented. And
Mhm.
I've met some of the greatest people on Instagram just
Same
through
here.
Instagram. Some of them I can't even tell you how, but we know we connected on Instagram, and it's just become your Instagram friends. Like, you may never meet them in person ever. I met somebody, funny story. I don't remember how we connected. I had done an Instagram story about my manifesto. I have a manifesto printed out. And I said, if anybody wants me to mail one, blah, blah, blah. And so she said yes. I don't know how she followed me, but she turns out she lives around the corner from me.
Oh my goodness.
Like, we met on Instagram, didn't know, like she sent me a
Yeah.
address and I'm like, that's my zip code. And then I'm like, I gotta Google this. And I'm like, she lives around the corner for me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, small world, Instagram.
Yeah, but I am the same way. I've met a ton of wonderful people on Instagram, and some of them have become really good friends of mine. And maybe we'll meet in person one day, but it's likely we won't, and that's okay. I don't know. There's a great way to connect without needing to have, the in-person connection. You can still find that support there, which has been amazing during the last year with the pandemic.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And when you use Instagram properly, you can still continue meeting friends even though you're sitting in your house behind a computer.
Yep.
You can still do
Yep.
it.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about, what you love about Instagram, um, and some of the things that frustrate you, and maybe it's kind of like some of those myths, that we all hear that, yeah, we all buy into.
So I think the biggest thing I love about Instagram is the fact that we were just talking about is the ability to build a community on there. And I feel like it is much easier to do that on Instagram than it is on Facebook. Facebook, I feel like you post something and it just goes out there to the masses. And while you can have, tons and hundreds of thousands and millions of followers on Instagram, you tend to have a good hub of people that always see your stuff, always comment, always DM you. And it's easy to do that on Instagram. And I like that because one, the support, but two, you just feel like you're actually connecting with a real person. It doesn't feel like it's going out into, I don't know, the abyss and never being seen or never really, no one's ever getting anything from it. Um, as for what annoys me about Instagram, I would say it's probably there's probably 2. The amount of times that they change things on there. I don't mind the little tweaks, or I'm sorry, no, change that. I don't mind the big changes because the big changes bring about new things. Like in August when we got Reels, like that was very exciting. What I don't like are the little tweaks that they make constantly that drive people batty, and myself included. You gotta change the format, I understand that, but Do you have to change it, every week? Do you have to I mean, they do. They have to play with things. I know they have to test it. It's the only way to go about it, but that's probably the biggest thing that annoys me. The other thing about Instagram that drives me crazy is, the spammy the people who go on there and use it to spam people, whether it's the way we were talking about earlier, sending the cold DMs, or it might be the people that leave you comments about, venereal diseases or or try their new Bitcoin products or whatever.
The
It's
new ones,
those.
that's my favorite, is like, "I worked with so and so, she was amazing, you
Yeah,
should check
yeah.
her out." I'm like, what?
I and here's a fun tip though about those, don't delete them. I mean, obviously, if there's one, because there is one that goes around about herpes, and if that bothers you and you don't wanna leave it on your post, I get it, delete it. But if it's one about Bitcoin or um there's another one, asking you to collab with you or whatever, leave them there and even respond to them because it's a comment. Like, it may not be the authentic, dreamy comments that you want, but they're comments and they help boost the engagement in the end. So just leave them there, respond to them. You can be a little snarky if you want to, or leave a funny response, but leave them there. Um,
I didn't even think of doing that. I just say thank you. Yeah.
I it depends on whose account. If it's on my account, I tend to say something like a little funny, kinda I mean, more for the people who read my comments. The person who left that is not gonna read that. It's very unlikely they're gonna come back. But, if I'm on my client's account, I tend to keep it like a thank you or great job or something like that. Um, as for myths, there are many. Um, I know I mean, myths when it comes to Instagram tend to be things that are taught to people. I know it was a really big thing, a couple of years back, and it seems to have made a comeback, which is tagging when you post something, tagging 8 million people in the image, not in the post, but on the image.
Yes.
And somebody was teaching this as a great way to connect with people because they're like, well, if you tag them, they're going to come look at your post. And while it may get somebody to do that because they're going to want to remove their name from the photo, in the end, what happens is you lose the potential of that person ever following you or engaging with you. And when you have that influx of following, people viewing your content, and then you stop. So let's say you tag a photo, you have those 30 people that say come in, remove their name from the post, and then you post again tomorrow or the day after and you don't tag anyone and nobody comes in, it tells the algorithm that you no longer have this great
Oh,
interest in in your post. And so it shows it to less people that time. And then you post again and you don't get a lot of engagement and it shows it to you fewer people. It is better to do things organically and not do the spammy techniques that you see a lot of people teaching you. It just goes around. Things, I guess, are cyclical because they happen and then they go away and then they come back again.
well, that's interesting because I did it a few times recently to test it because I had never done it before. But then I thought to myself, if I'm already tagging them in the post, why do I need to tag them in the image?
And let me make it clear when I say that. What I mean is what you wrote in the caption has literally nothing to do with them. So it would be like
Oh,
if
gotcha. Okay. Just
um
randomly tag 30 people
yes,
in the image itself or something.
yes.
Yeah.
So if there was somebody who, another Instagram strategist who had a smaller following than me wanted to connect with me, and I don't have a huge following, but they wanted to connect with me and they tagged me, but the post had literally nothing to do with me, not the caption, not the picture, and they tagged me. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about.
Mm.
If you are talking about them in the caption and then tagging them in the photo or they're in the photo, that's fine. That you should absolutely do that. And the reason I can answer your question why you would want to tag the photo is because then it shows up and they're tagged on their
Oh, right
profile. It
in
shows up
there,
in
their
their
button.
tagged
Yeah,
feed. Yep.
okay, tag button. Okay.
Which, if you're somebody who has a following that's pretty into checking everything that happens with you, you have the potential. That person has the potential of, um, getting a new follower or finding a new follower or vice versa.
Got it. Okay. That's interesting. I forgot about the mass tagging. I used to get tagged in random, like, people I
Yep,
didn't know would tag me in their actual post,
that's
and
weird.
that is just, like, spam and bots and or whatever, but I just get used to get frustrated, like, "Who
Yep.
are you? Why are you tagging me? I don't know you."
It's led to a lot of bigger influencers turning off the ability to tag them, which stinks because I think Shilling Johnson still allows you to tag her, but I know she's turned it off and on here and there, but that stinks for her because she is somebody who loves to share other people's content,
Yeah,
and if somebody keeps tagging her and she turns off the ability to tag her for everyone, there's no real way for her to see what her followers are sharing that do involve her, like, maybe doing her workout or
yeah,
her one of her courses, and she can't share that then.
yeah.
So, it's just don't do it. It doesn't look good, it annoys people, and it's not effective. It doesn't do a thing for you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good tip, thank you for that.
You're
So
welcome.
So a lot of people that I work with are newer to being an entrepreneur, and some of the things that they come to me, and I help them kind of build their confidence to get out there. But there's so many myths in and of itself about building, and I don't like to call it get clients, because whenever I hear get, I always think of chasing something. Like, I'm going to go
Mhm.
get it, right? I'm going to go run after it to chase it down, right? Like, get the robber, like I like to say attract,
Yep,
because and I like to talk about Instagram or even Facebook, but anything like finding connection points, because I feel like it's the more connection points you have with people, the more they become your loyal community. So, like,
agreed.
most of the people that I now am friends with on Instagram or that have become my clients started out with something so simple, like we all had a love of coffee or dogs. And all of a sudden, like, then they'd post something else and I'm like, oh my God, I read that book too. Oh my gosh, this is, and all of a sudden, like, you become build this bigger relationship. But when you're first starting out as an entrepreneur, all you're thinking are the strategies, action strategies, and getting the clients and making the money. But talk about, because you have a very different approach, and I've taken your amazing course. I'm not even done with it because I'm like, I have to do each module and get into the rhythm of it before I go to the next one. But talk about, because you have a very different approach and view on getting visible, especially on Instagram.
So, the reason it's all started is because there had to be a way in my mind, there had to be a way to create a community on Instagram beyond just your profile. I knew there had to be a way, and I tried a bunch of things. I have still take one-on-one clients, and I had people's accounts that I was trying it on, and I just started doing this thing where I would go into hashtags and spend time liking photos, commenting on a couple of people's profiles that looked like they could be ideal clients, and started noticing that some people would follow me, which was never the goal. I also don't care whether my account is huge or not. It's not about that. It's about the engagement. But I also noticed that in my analytics, my engagement was going up, meaning the people viewing my profile, my profile in and of itself, and my analytics on each image were going up.
Mm.
And I started realizing that what is happening is that me going in and essentially talking with people in their comments on their photos and on their profiles was building a community. Those people who came in who I had, engaged with on their account were like, okay, who is this person? And, they come to my bio and they see who I am and what I do. And because I was engaging with people who I thought could be ideal clients, a lot of them would think, all right, I could definitely follow and use some help from Instagram strategist. Um, and so it just kept building. Um, and that's the same thing that I teach in that course. I teach exactly what I do. So it starts with optimizing your bio, I think is the beginning, which is super important because there are only two searchable places on your profile, and that is your headline and your bio. I'm sorry, your headline and your username.
Mhm.
And so you want to make sure that those are optimized. And then once you have those optimized, you want to make sure that the bio that you're using speaks to exactly who you are, I'm sorry, who you help and what you do for those people because you want them to stick around. You want them to know that they should stay. So once you put that out there and you start getting the people that you're engaging with to come in, they're going to check out your photos. Maybe they'll DM you, and you don't just pitch them your course, your one-on-one services, your product. You talk with them and you actually connect with them. You ask them about themselves, and they probably will ask you questions. And I mean, I'm not saying give away everything for free. Everybody deserves to get paid, but there are questions like if someone asks me, "Could you check out my bio? I just took your course." I actually think I asked people to send me a picture of their bio, but I'll take a look at it, and if it's, good, I'll tell them that. If it needs any tweaks, some couple small tweaks, I absolutely make those suggestions because maybe they're not ready for one-on-one services now,
Mhm.
but down the road they might be, or they might have a friend who could benefit from the course that they're taking with me. So, it's all about making it human and making authentic connections with people. Um,
It's
that's
kind of
kind of
like
how I am in all parts of my life, though.
it's like dating if you think about it, right?
Mhm.
Rarely, I mean, I'm sure there are, but it's not like you meet somebody and all of a sudden you're married the next day, right?
Yeah,
You get to know each other, then you really reveal some of your flaws here. You really, reveal some of your skills and all that, and you see what you have in common. There are sometimes they just fade away and they're not the right match. But it is a long game, but none of us made best friends with anybody overnight. I mean, I guess when we're 5, you go around being like, "Can you be my best friend?"
yeah.
But, like, in reality, as adults, we don't do that. I
Yep,
mean, my best friends I've known for, like, 15 years, and it was because they were on committees that I was managing in my nonprofit, but it took years to grow those relationships, and the same thing with Instagram is really getting to know. And I think that's the one thing is people with the whole getting clients thing, what still makes me nauseous about it is because one of the things is people think if I put out a post and somebody likes it, like they should buy from it immediately. And
right.
that's not really how Instagram ever works or I mean, commercials don't even work like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, once in a while you're like, oh my God, I totally need that. But most of the time you see it 14 times before you're like, yeah, you know what? Totally need that.
Yep,
Um, it's a
and
relationship.
that is so true, and I can tell you with my mini course that there are people who I have connected with and have been connected with for multiple years before they bought my mini course. And my mini course is not high price. Like it's very accessible, and it still took people knowing me for a couple of years before they're like, "Yeah, yeah, I need this." Because 1, they just weren't ready, they weren't in the right spot for it. 2, because they hadn't built that maybe in their mind, they hadn't built the full connection.
Mhm.
Um, so it is like dating where you have to just keep meeting and greeting, getting to know people.
I
And
think
I and
the hashtags is like, when you used to go to old networking events,
y
hashtags are kind of like your networking. Like when you go
yeah,
to look at their
yeah.
hashtag and you're kind of like viewing I usually go with like the pictures that I resonate with. They always wind up being like service providers or freelancers or something like that. And then and you're like, it's kind of like your comment is the like, hi, I'm Katerina, like you would do in a networking event. It's like little networking events in each hashtag, or every comment that somebody gives you is like kind of like a little neighborhood of, you know,
I love that. That is genius that the hashtags are like the start of the networking event. I love that.
Yep.
It's so true. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you help people feel more comfortable showing up? Because what I find with the clients I work with is, you're putting yourself out there. I mean, just like a networking event, but it's vulnerable. And I think there's this mindset that millions of people are going to see you on there. The whole world is going to see you, which is interesting because that's actually not how Instagram works. I mean, I only have 1,200 followers, and not even a portion of that see my posts on a daily
Yeah,
basis.
unfortunately, yeah.
But there's this fear of, one, I'm not, how do I do it like everybody else? And two, because everybody else is so successful at it, which we all know they probably use some gimmicks if they whatever. But but two, feeling comfortable and authentic on it, which is your approach, is being yourself on Instagram. What would you say to people?
I think that the Instagram allow is a platform where you can, because if you haven't spent a lot of time on Instagram, then you wouldn't know, but there are so many different niches on Instagram that it is mind-blowing. My husband, um, has a very different, following. He doesn't, not his following, but the people he follows are so different than the people I would ever follow, and it was a complete an industry in art that I never would have even considered. And, the people that I follow are so different than his. So, making sure you understand that there is room for everyone there, and that just because, you might do something similar to someone else doesn't mean that you're going to bring the same stuff as that person. You're going to bring different perspectives and different techniques, even if it's the same topic. And as far as getting comfortable being there, it will take time, but I am someone who likes to rip the Band-Aid off and just go for it. So, if your big fear is going live, or if you wanna do a reel, reels are not mandatory, but if you really wanna do a reel, but you're afraid to put yourself out there, I would say make it easy for yourself, and just, maybe make a reel that talks about who you are, or make a reel that talks about your services, maybe not selling them, but like, this is what I do for people. And just make it super simple. Make your IGTV at 5 minutes. You don't need to make it super long, just 5 minutes, and just do it, and rip off the Band-Aid and just get started.
And
And
you can
also,
always delete it, is what I tell people.
yeah, yes, absolutely. You can always delete it if you get super uncomfortable. For myself, I have always thought, you know what? If I like me and I like what I'm saying, that's okay that someone out there may not like me and might not like what I'm saying, because they don't have to look at this. They don't have to watch this. They can scroll on by. And that doesn't mean you're not going to get haters and trolls and stuff. But if what ends up happening is, if you do get those haters or trolls, you end up having like 10 or 15 people coming and backing you up and
Defending you,
saying,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sticking up for you and whatever. So it's there really is no simple way to get comfortable on Instagram other than to just do it. And that is literally my best advice, is to rip off the Band-Aid and put out the IGTV. If you're not a video person, then put out the post, write the post,
Yeah.
get emotional, get vulnerable, because that's what people connect with. People wanna know you,
And
and they wanna know behind the scenes and stuff like that of your business.
I think that's the hard thing for people, is that, especially when you first start out, you're trying to soak up everybody's information and their opinions about how to do it, right? And everybody's like, you got to do video and you got to do this. So all of a sudden you sit there and you're like, oh my gosh, but I don't want to do video. Oh my gosh. And there are all these like neighborhoods on Instagram, like IGTV and Reels and all this. And you think you have to be on all them because, then Instagram comes out with the like, you need to have 20 Reels a day
Yeah.
and 45 Instagram TVs a week, like these major numbers. But the thing is, like, if you want to just focus on Pinterest, which is how I started, I blogged into Pinterest and that's how I grew my email list. Like, it'll work. If you
Mhm.
just want to do posts on Instagram, it'll work.
Yeah.
Like if you put the work in and you do the engaging part. And I think that's a fear that everybody, especially people I work with, are introverts, right? So being on video is nerve wracking for them. Like the
Yeah.
idea is like, whoa, heck no, I don't want to do that. But I think you can successfully focus solely on posts and build an entire business from that. I mean, that's how Instagram started before they added all the frivolous other
Yeah.
stuff.
Absolutely true. Absolutely. Posts are very successful. I think I may have, maybe, well, that's not true. I've done a bunch of lives, but that was only because I was launching a course. But I very rarely go live, though I'm thinking of starting to, but posts work. I would recommend doing carousel posts, which is multiple photos or images together. It does not need to be a infographic where every single
Thank you for
post.
helping me with that. was my, like, "I can't keep doing these infographics, they don't feel good to me." Yeah.
They don't need to be infographics where every single post, or I'm sorry, every single image has a new tip on it. It does not need to be that. You could literally take 2 photos. I saw a picture, an account today who did a carousel, and it was the same picture in the first slide and in the second slide. The reason they do this is because Instagram likes carousel posts more than they like regular posts. So just
Mm.
put the extra photo in there. But at the same time, you don't have to. You can just put the one photo. And if you do the engagement and build your community, people will start to come in and they'll view your stuff. It just may not be as fast as if you use carousels, but it will still happen. And there's still going to be people who are interested in your stuff, which is actually the most important part.
One of the things I started after I messaged you freaking out going, "I can't do this. Oh, I can't do all these infographic posts. They're just not me." What I started doing was taking either a quote from the post or in my podcast, a quote from the podcast, and making that the second image. So just dropping it into a Canva quote, graphic.
Hmm.
And then the one I like that Alex Beeden did recently that I was like, I kind of like that. In the third or last slide, whatever the last slide was like the question box. So it was basically the call to action that was in the post, but they did it as an infograph on the last one. And I remember coming across it. I guess I didn't like any of the other, you know how it goes. I didn't like any of the other pictures. So when I was scrolling again, that came up and I'm like, that's an interesting thing. And then I
Yeah.
realized there's a whole carousel that I missed. And I was like, okay, that's a different way of adding something to the carousel. It's the same action item, just in a graphic format.
Yep. Yep. And that it can absolutely be that. It can be anything. I mean, keep it it should you should keep it to the topic in your caption, but it honestly doesn't matter. Carousels are, I'm I guess you could say, weighted heavier right now
Yeah.
than a regular post. Don't stress yourself out trying to think of what to post in that second or third box, just if all you have and you're getting
People
started.
change the colors or the filters of their pictures or graphics. They do the same graphic I see, and
Yep.
then change the color, or they add a different filter to all the pictures.
Yep, absolutely. It just don't make it stressful for yourself. Make it something that you enjoy doing. Otherwise, you're not going to keep up with it if it just stresses you out.
That's a good point because I know I get like that when when the trend changes.
Mhm.
Instagram has so many trends that come and go, and the infograph ones are the new one, the fancy one, which thank goodness Canva has all the templates and you just drop the
Yes.
info in. But, for some of us, like that's not my natural. In my mind, that's so complicated. I now have to be strategic to come up with tips to share, you know what I mean, that are
Mhm.
savable, and it's like you already have to worry about building an engagement. Now I have to worry about the graphics on top of it or the photos. um but then it doesn't have to be. You can just do all photos if you want. You don't ever have to do an infograph. You don't ever have to hop on the trend train and jump right in.
No, you definitely do not. I firmly believe that if you do what you would do what you love on Instagram, as long as you're doing something, and you will still grow. I need to get better at it just because I enjoy doing them. I'm not great at posting on my feed because it takes a lot more thought and I just haven't had the space to think lately. But I'm fantastic at stories because they're easy for me because it doesn't have to be perfect. Not that my feed has to be perfect because it certainly does not. But I can literally come on at the drop of a hat and say anything easily, and so I'm good at stories, and I'm still growing, not super fast at a very slow rate, but I'm still growing because people take value from what I say and then they share it with their community, or they share my post, or I'm sorry, my story with their community and tag me, and people come back. So if you do what you enjoy doing, I believe that you can absolutely be successful on Instagram.
Because you're more
And to the
consistent.
people who say, "Well, I only have 30 followers," or "I only have 300 followers," it's easy for you to say. It doesn't matter. If those 300 or 30 followers are invested in you and what you have to say and what you're teaching them, they will eventually buy from you if when the time is right. It's and if they don't buy from you, they're influenced by you. I was reminded of this the other day by a friend. She had shared with me, because I don't ever think of myself as an expert. I know Instagram really well, but I don't think of myself as an expert at it. And she's like, "You influence people." She gave me all these reasons, like examples of how people were influenced by things that I had said, and it just kind of struck me as like, okay, yeah, so I guess I am influencing people. So
Mhm.
if you have 30 followers or 300 or 10,000 or whatever, you can absolutely be influencing people, and that is what eventually will lead people to buy from you.
Well, and it only takes one client. Actually did a post and an email about this. Like my dad is an entrepreneur. He has been for 40 years. He doesn't have a website. He has no social media. He has no email address. Everything's done on pen and paper. My mom still does his contracts. We growing up, we didn't have cell phones back then, right? Until he got an iPhone, the house phone was like, "Hello, oh, he's not home right now," and you get the pad and pencil and you write down the name, and like that's how he did business. But he did it was all referrals. It was from his friends or his former clients. And
Yep,
that like there's a power in like you just need one person to love you and love what you do, and they're going to share it with other people.
yep,
And it's kind of the way you actually want your business to roll, because you don't have to do a lot of work if you're just, I call it the loyal community. Like you're like it's kind of like your family in a way, right? They're going to follow you, they're going to watch you. They're not going to care if you have spinach in your teeth. They're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, she's so normal like me. I can
yep,
relate." They just want, they're just like kind of your friend in a way.
yep, yep,
They want to support you and they want to cheer you on. They want to tag you in their Instagram stories and
absolutely. It take the time to get to know people, build authentic relationships, get you don't have to know everyone. Obviously, there's no way that I know 34 whatever 100 people on Instagram. It's impossible, but anybody who DMs me and it's a genuine DM, I spend the time to message them back and respond to them, and it's worth it because sometimes those people end up being people who message you and say, "Hey, I just wanted to check if I'm on your email list. Yesterday, I had somebody reach out
Mhm.
to me and ask that." Like, it's because I took the time to help her and get to know her.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely worth it. It's probably the number one thing. Engage, that do your engagement every day and get to know the people who you engage with. Like when they
Yeah.
respond to you, get to know them.
You brought up something really interesting. It's like you talk about people, like they're people.
Yeah.
And we get caught up, especially because everybody's talking about the numbers, right? The number of followers and the coveted 10,000 followers so you can
Mhm.
get the swipe up feature, or how many likes and engage and saves. But I remember my statistics professor. Now we're in statistics. It was grad school. Like we were supposed to be learning statistics. I don't know if she thought we were going to be statisticians or something. I don't know. She after struggling, after failing every test, like she's like, "Just remember, people, stats aren't people." And I'm like, after all this, you're trying to get us to focus and study stats, and you're
That's
telling us they're not
hilarious.
people, but they're not, right? They're this arbitrary number made up of averages and stuff. Like they're not actually people.
Yep,
And so that number, if you have 100,000 followers, it means nothing if nobody buys it.
yep,
And we tend to judge ourselves based off of this number that actually in the Instagram world has nothing to do with us. It has to do with this algorithm kind of thing where it has nothing to do with us, but we put our self-worth and our,
mhm,
if we're good enough based on, oh, I don't have 100,000 followers. Well, I know people with 100,000 followers that get the same amount of likes and comments on their posts that I do at 1,200 followers.
absolutely,
And I think it hurts everybody's confidence and their imposter syndrome because they're basically putting their self-worth on that number.
absolutely, and the thing is, you have to keep the algorithm happy. You can't ignore it completely. I would love to say that, "Don't worry about the algorithm, just do your thing," and I mean, you certainly could, but your success is gonna take a little bit longer just because if you don't keep the algorithm happy, it's not gonna show your stuff. So you have to do your engagement. That's the 5 minutes of liking and the hashtags and the 5 minutes of, going through and then commenting on some people's posts and 5 minutes in your opening feed. But then beyond that, once the people start rolling in, and I shouldn't say rolling because it isn't like you're gonna have hundreds of followers every day following you unless you have a post go viral. But
Mhm.
when people start coming in, take the time to get to know them if they're genuinely real people, because you're gonna get people who follow you who are, sleazy, gross men who just are wanna, "Hey, sugar honey, you wanna here's $10,000, or something like that. Like, those sorts of things. Obviously, ignore those accounts, but if you have a real account come in and follow you, get to know them.
Yeah.
It's okay to send them a message when they first follow you. Don't make it, "You wanna buy this?" Say, "Hey, thanks for the follow." Um, if for somebody like myself, I'd say, "Hey, thanks for the follow." Um, maybe I'd ask where they found me or, what part of Instagram is their biggest struggle, and
Mhm.
I would just start there. And because I'm not trying to sell them anything, I just wanna get to know them, I usually get a pretty good response. Some people just ignore them, but those are usually the people who are doing follow for follow anyway, so I don't want them anyway. They can just go
Yeah.
on their merry way.
Well, it brings up a good point because a lot of times, especially in business, because we're so in the mode of getting more clients, we forget to nurture. And I think about it this way: if you have a storefront and your Instagram's your storefront, and
Mhm.
you have people in your store, why are you standing outside the store trying to get more people to come in when you have people already looking at your stuff here?
Absolutely.
When you can
Absolutely.
nurture them right here. I mean, that would just be, they're all just going to leave at some point.
Right. And that's another thing that what you mentioned is, so obviously you want to go out and engage in hashtags and everything, but you also want to spend time with the people who like your posts already. Even if you are only getting 5 likes on a photo, it is important for you to go and connect with those people. You don't have to do it every day, maybe every time you post, but going in and to their profiles and liking some of their photos. Some of them will be private accounts, so you won't even be able to do anything anyway. But if they're a public account and there's somebody that either would make a really great friend or a good client, potential client, comment on their stuff, like their photos, follow them if you're interested in them only if you're interested. Don't do follow for follow. Um, but keep those people who are already invested in your stuff there.
Yeah.
Show them that you genuinely appreciate them.
Yeah. And you never know, we talk about Instagram as like, attracting clients and getting,
Mhm.
for the business. But some people that I've connected to on Instagram, I've done clubhouse rooms with, have been on my podcast, I've been on their podcast. Like there's, it doesn't, you never know what they might have, a friend that needs your service,
Yep.
so not always looking at them as a potential client, just looking at them as a human being and getting to know them. You never know what it's going to become down the line. You never know what the connection is. I always think like the universe connects people for a reason. And if
Mhm.
you just kind of just follow it, if they're constantly following you or commenting on your stuff, like get to know them because there's a reason you were connected to them.
Yep. Absolutely. And that human aspect that you mentioned is so important. So important. It's more there it doesn't there's collaborations, there's just endless possibilities for you and another person. So
Mhm.
don't just mark it off as, if they didn't buy from me, they're not somebody I want to engage with, because the buying part will, if it's meant to be, will happen. Um, as long as you keep getting to know the person and you're to every publicly putting your offers out there. If the person is interested, they'll buy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So what are the things, I know I follow you on Instagram stories, so I know like you do personal development reading. You also love fiction books and stuff.
Hmm.
But what has helped you in your as an entrepreneur with your mindset? How have you, what are the things you've done? What are the, shifts that you've had to make?
So I deal with imposter syndrome a lot, and that I've had help. I had a coach a couple of years back that I worked with for a lot of years. And then journaling is a big part of my practice. Sometimes I will use a prompt to journal. Other times it's more putting out what is on my mind and then trying to reframe it if it's super negative.
Mm,
Um, and then I also talk to friends about it. That might sound cliche, but
mm,
if my mindset is in the dumps, I think it was was it yesterday? I think I put something in my stories about, my mindset. I was just not feeling great. And I mean, you responded and gave me some great feedback. And then I had a couple of other people respond too. Um, I just look for support, outside support. My husband obviously is a great source of that. But if it's sometimes when it's business related, I like to bring it to Instagram and the people on there because so many of the people I follow are other business owners.
Yeah.
Um, and they can understand that a little bit better. Um, so I would say having a coach that deals with mindset. I mean, they can be a business coach, but somebody who knows mindset and can help with that. And then journaling were probably the biggest two, with
Yeah.
having the support from my friends on Instagram and people in real life too, my parents and my husband and stuff like that.
Yeah, that inner circle is,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm glad because when I first started out as a coach, I got out of coaching school by myself. I did actually hire one of my instructors to be my coach because I was like, no idea what I'm doing. But then I wanted to learn how to blog and do Pinterest, and I wound up in like one of those funnels, like, oh,
Hmm.
I'll download this boot camp, and then I wound up in like, it was like $1 upgrade to join a membership. I didn't even know what a membership was. I was like, well, $1, I can, sure, I'll see how it goes. And it was like everybody was building businesses. And it was one of the best things I kind of fell into because I never even looked at the boot camp I bought for $7 because I was in this group and I was like, oh my gosh, the support of, deer in headlights, have no idea what I'm doing. And every time I stumbled, I could get in there and be like, okay. And there was a coach running it. And I could be like, okay, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. This happened. This is not happening. What am I focusing on? Priceless to be able to, with people either going through it or have gone through it. I mean, this podcast came from me joining a mastermind. I never thought I could do. I was like, I can't do a podcast. I'm not a reporter or a journalist. I'm not a celebrity. Who am I to host a podcast? I don't have a following. And everybody in the mastermind was starting podcasts, and I was like, well, I guess there they can show me how to do it, and I did it. And but for the longest time, I was like, I wrote it off as like, who am I to do that? I'm a nobody. But, if I didn't have that group, I wouldn't have seen this other avenue.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There there are people who I'm still connected with that were there when I first started as an entrepreneur. And it's crazy to look at them and where they are in business, and then myself too, and how far we've come, and to talk about that sort of thing. Or do you remember when? Yeah, inner circle is, and this goes for any business. You don't even have to be on Instagram. You just need to have those people who are going to be there. And when you're feeling really crappy and you're like, I'm done, I quit. Or they're like, okay,
Every other
what's
day.
going on?
Right? Every other day, we're all
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
Especially right now. Yeah. What's going on? What is really going on? Let's talk this out. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Journaling has been lifesaver. And that was actually the first thing that when I was in 9 to 5 and I was really, really, really depressed. And I remember multiple people were like, you have to journal. And I hated to write. I went to a not a psychic, like a medium or something. She's like, you're going to write a lot and you need to write more and you're going to be writing. And I was like, lady, I hate writing. There's no way this is right. You are so wrong. And now, like, journaling is like, and I don't necessarily write for long. I used to write a long time. Sometimes I just need a few lines to
Yeah.
work it out. And I'm like, okay, good. I got it. But you're right, like getting it out of here and putting it on paper gives your brain a moment. Up here, I kind of like move things around. Oh, I don't need to focus on that. Oh, the world's ending. Oh, whatever. And then you put it on paper and it's like, oh, it's not so bad. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I
Once
can.
it's out, it's like the steam on a teapot,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
where you turn the nozzle or whatever, and it lets all that steam out. It's kind of what this does. I brain dump sometimes I'll brain dump whatever's on my mind, and then, like I said, reframe it. And afterward, I feel so much better. And it's just unbelievable that I thought, I can't do this. I can no longer do this. And I wrote, all I did was write some sentences on a piece of, well, I use my iPad, but I wrote some sentences down. And then I look back and I'm like, huh, I feel pretty good now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's like, if you think about it, we're so used to the digital world where everything you type and it comes up really fast. But writing, it stop has to stop your brain because your brain has to slow up to write it, and it
Mhm.
gives your brain like that moment. It's kind of like when you have the aha moments whenever you walk away, like you'll be outside.
Yes.
Sometimes, a lot of times it happens while I'm in the shower, or like
Oh, yeah.
like random times where I'm not focusing on anything, and all of a sudden, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought. Oh, I could totally fix it like this, or I could totally do this instead. It's when we slow up our brain and get out of our own way.
Yep.
And journaling
Absolutely.
does that because you have to slow down to write it out.
I never thought of it that way. I just now that makes a lot of sense because the ahas come to me the same way, and I never related that one to the other. You're right.
Yeah,
Absolutely right.
slowing down. Yeah, yeah. So any tips you want to leave entrepreneurs? Things you've learned on along the way that are like, just remember this.
Um, I guess I think my biggest tip would be to not get frustrated when you put content out there and you don't see a huge return on investment right away, because Instagram takes time to get to know you, or if you put something out and have a great response and then for the next week you don't, just keep doing the same thing. Well, not the exact same things. What I mean is keep doing your engagement, keep connecting with people, and you're going to see growth. It's going to happen, even if it's slow. Every time those numbers in your analytics turn green, it's a celebration. Even if it's 0.01, or, well, I don't think it goes like that, but point 0.1,
Mhm.
that 0.1% increase is important. So don't ignore it
Mhm.
and just keep going. And if you need, help, or, you need guidance in something, reach out. Maybe connect with me and you can ask me, send me a DM. Um,
For sure.
because it doesn't come easy. It is time consuming, but it is also really rewarding when you build those relationships. Instagram is my favorite place to be, and not so much for the mindless scroll anymore. It's just being able to connect with the people that are on there.
Yeah.
And I hope that I want other people to experience that too.
Yeah, it's kind of fun when you do like I'll do fun playful posts and post like a fun action,
Mhm.
call to action, and you learn so much about people, like whether they like dogs or cats, or
Yeah.
how they got started as an entrepreneur, or like their favorite vacation, and like you're like, oh my gosh, I love Disney too, or you get to know people, and it's so nice to know people,
Yes, it
especially
is.
in the isolated world we're in now. It's just nice to like, oh, people are like me. I'm not so different. Because you talk about imposter syndrome. A lot of times, we feel different or not qualified. But when you start to connect to people and realize you had these connection points, like people are like me. I'm not so different. I'm not so I am qualified. Those it's kind of like the validation you get even from one comment
Yep,
is worth everything. Whether they
absolutely.
buy from you ever or not, it's like a little, I think of confidence as a jar, and like you just keep putting in the validations so that your jar keeps filling up, so your confidence keeps filling up.
Yep, absolutely. I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, where can everybody find you and follow you, and talk a little bit about your course too, cuz I highly recommend the course. It's amazing.
Thank you. Um, so you can follow me on Instagram. That's pretty much where I'm always at. It is at Jillian Finding Happy. Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, tickle all of a sudden. Um, and as for the course, it is a 5-day course right now, and each video is, I believe, under 15 minutes. So it's super bite size. And you can get through it all in one day if you wanted to, or take it slow, which is absolutely okay too. You're going to learn how to optimize your bio. You learn how to find the right hashtags for yourself. Then you learn how to engage within hashtags and with bigger accounts. And you actually get my Engage Like a Boss formula, which is the step by step process that I use on my clients' accounts. And I've helped clients go from 5K to 30K in about a year and a half. I mean, like I said, it's time consuming, but still possible. And it's all in there, and it's super cheap for $49. And I said and a lot in there. It's,
It's a
um,
time that an
I it works. It really works, and I want people to experience the possibilities by learning this. It's
Mhm.
there's a method to the madness that actually works.
Yeah. I remember when I bought it right before Christmas, and I haven't been as consistent as, which happens in life.
Yeah, of course.
But the first, I think it was like 2.5 weeks, I went up almost by, I want to say it was like 50 followers or something. And my account hadn't grown in a year, like up and down by 10 is what it was doing. And I grew, and I didn't lose that many from, since that was after before Christmas.
Hmm.
And it was, but there were legit relationships that I now still watch those people's Instagram stories and I comment on their posts because I spent the time to build the
Yep.
relationships, followed your steps, and your hashtag video was so good. I think I wound up with like, I did what you said, and I wound up with like 400 hashtags.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I know, wait, because I'm crazy. I then went into Instagram and looked them up and how many posts were under them, and then I made a column of all 400 with how many posts.
That is when I do hashtag research for
Hours,
people,
but
that's what I do too.
yeah,
It's worth it though, because then you know whether you want to use it all the time or if it's just one you throw in there when it fits.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Star student.
It's time consuming to look up all 400 and find out how many posts were underneath them.
Yeah, it is, but it's worth it, right? Now you don't have to do that every time.
No, now I'm in the process of making the
Hmm.
groups of hashtags, and that's a process.
I love it.
Yeah, but I highly recommend the course for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining and sharing all of this wisdom. I think this will help a lot of people with that fear, not just the fear of showing up, but how complicated Instagram can seem and how superficial it sometimes comes across, that there is an authentic way to do it that can feel good for you. Like, I'm not into the tricks and that always felt sleazy to me. But this feels like I'm just making friends with people. I'm just finding, haha, look at your kid's so cute, or oh my gosh, I did that the other day, and all of a
Exactly.
sudden you have a relationship, and all of a sudden, they're in your loyal community, is what I like to call it.
Exactly. And that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I
No,
appreciate
thank
it.
you. Thank you. Thank you. You're so fun to talk to.
Oh, thank you.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you all next week. Bye. Hi, lovely. Thank you so much for listening to the Fearless Female Entrepreneur podcast. I want to invite you to join me for the Confident Entrepreneur Bootcamp coming up from March 29th till April 2nd. This is a 5-day group coaching program where you'll ditch your mental clutter, like we just talked about, and your imposter syndrome thoughts, and ignite your confidence so you can make a bigger impact in your business. We'll identify your limiting beliefs, how they're sabotaging your business success, and focus on how you are truly qualified and capable of attracting and helping your dream clients in your business. So click the link in the description to sign up, and I can't wait to see you there. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the podcast so you get notified of the latest episodes right when they launch. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.